Hello everyone, hope you're all well today. So as Emma said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about well-being. And talk about well-being and workplace health and well-being. And you might think, what's that got to do with me? I'm a small business, why is that impact? You know, you might hear that large businesses do workplace health and well-being, but why should you as small businesses do it? Well, hopefully you've all heard of this. Yes? I'm guessing you have, I hope you have anyway. And actually, rightly so, most of the focus has been on safety, and I wouldn't want that to be any other way. However, health does actually impact on safety. I was talking to an organisation recently, and they're an industrial organisation, and they have a problem, or they noticed that they had a trend in near-miss accidents in the afternoon. And when they started looking at the stats, and also looking at what those employees were eating at lunchtime, they noticed there was a clear correlation between the food intake of their crane drivers and those near misses in the afternoon. And when they spoke to me about it, what's going on here, it was really obvious that we all know, we've all suffered from that nodding dog syndrome. You know, you've had a large meal, usually maybe a Sunday lunch or something like that, and in the afternoon you struggle to keep your eyes open. And this was the same scenario that was happening in this industrial company, that their drivers were literally nodding off in the afternoon behind cranes and causing this peak in near misses. Another reason why health is important in terms of safety is, who's heard of presenteeism? I can't see the audience. Has anybody heard of presenteeism? A few. Okay, presenteeism is basically where you're physically present at work, but you're not mentally present. And I guess all of you have experienced that in the past, and I certainly have, where I've been at my desk, but I'm not actually I'm physically at my desk, but I'm not actually mentally at my desk. And again, that can result to a safety lapse. And presenteeism can lead on to having mental health issues. Somebody might not be present because they're suffering from stress. They might be suffering from anxiety. It might be work-related, it might not be, but the fact that they're not physically, mentally present at their desk or mentally present in the environment where they're working actually does impact on safety. So we do need to put safe health as much as a priority than just safety. But what does health actually mean? The World Health Organization, and admittedly this is quite old, but it is still really relevant today, say that health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. And it's not merely the absence of disease. So it's great that you might think that you're well, but I was at a conference on Tuesday, at Workplace Health and Wellbeing Conference at the NEC, and I went to a talk from Public Health England talking about workplace health and the impact of national policy and governance. And the statistic they put out is that 1 in 3 people are currently have an illness or condition. So they're living with long-term conditions. That's 1 in 3. And 1 in 7 working age people have multiple illnesses or conditions. And actually, that's really bad for us as employees and small businesses, because the health of your staff impact on their performance. And what does well-being mean, really? Because we don't want just to be healthy. You want to be well. You want to feel that spark. You want to be alive. You want to feel life's worth living, isn't it? So why don't we want our staff to be like that? We want our staff to be sparking. We don't want those people on Sunday night going, oh, it's Monday tomorrow, and then they spend the first 2 hours on Monday morning moaning that they're back at work on Monday. Or all they can do is count through till Friday. We want people to be alive and want to be at work on that Monday morning and spring in their step. So well-being, it's about a state of being comfortable, healthy and happy. And happy is a really key term. And when you are healthy, I don't know how you feel, is when you get a bit of a cold or a sniffle or you don't feel very healthy, how your mood suddenly drops. And if your mood suddenly drops, then how your productivity suddenly drops. And if you're doing that in an organisation, and you might only just have 3 or 4 members of staff, but if you imagine that if everybody's feeling a bit icky, a bit sick on a certain day, how suddenly the mood in the office suddenly decreased, and then how suddenly the productivity decreases. And that's costing you money as a business. And I'm just going to give you some stats that make it sound, because you might think, okay, it's not really worth doing. Why is it interesting to me? What's the point of doing it? But here's some stats that I got from the Labour Force survey. These are 2016 stats, they're quite up to date. And as you can see, £9.7 billion is the annual cost of new cases of work-related ill health in 2015 to 16. And the number of working days lost through to what we will call mental health conditions such as stress, depression and anxiety account for 49% of all illnesses. And these are really quite shocking stats to me. I don't know how you feel, but they are quite kind of stats that we shouldn't be seeing. We are not a well nation. We are a sick nation. We don't have health care. We have sick care. And we are, as an ageing population as well, we have more issues to deal with because we have people who are living longer, who are working longer, but ultimately are leading unhealthy lifestyles. That 1 in 3 stat I said earlier, most of those people suffering from that 1 in 3 stat have long-term chronic conditions. And most chronic conditions we class as lifestyle conditions. Lifestyle conditions tend to be, as it would describe, are lifestyle-based. So they're people who are making poor choices, sometimes not through any fault of their own, but lack of information, lack of education. I'm a nutritionist, and I'm amazed by some of the things that I hear about what people think is healthy. Poor food choices, inactivity, poor sleep. All these things, actually, if you're a small business and employ people, impact on how well those people perform in your business. If you had a piece of machinery that wasn't very efficient, you'd probably call an engineer out to get a look at it, get a tune-up. Yet our employees are our biggest asset in our business. So why would we not want to give them a tune-up? Why would we not want them to be happy and healthy? I talked about presenteeism a little bit earlier, and on average, some stats came out last year, it costs you as a business £600 a year per employee who suffers from presenteeism. Something like, let me find some more stats. About half of an organisation reckon that they have employees that come to work sick. Well, that's not really healthy, A, for that employee, because they should take time off sick to recover. Being sick is not a bad thing. Let me tell you that. We're human beings. We are animals in the purest sense. Getting ill is not a negative thing, and we should accept that. And actually, we should encourage people to take time off sick when they are genuinely sick. But if you've got a culture where people don't like being at work, what's the first thing you do when you start not liking your job? And I've done it. Oh, I'll just phone in and say, I've got a bit of a cold, I can't come in today. I'm sure most people have done it in the room, that they've actually, when you start not enjoying your job, for whatever reason, the first thing you'll do is take time off sick. If your company is generally looking after their staff, they should take time off sick and actually allow your body to recover. And I campaign about having sickness as not as a negative thing. We do it early on, don't we? In school, people get rewarded for having 100% attendance. So in childhood, we're already talking to people or teaching our children that to be sick is bad. Well, to be sick isn't bad. We're human, we're going to get sick. It's whether that sickness is a genuine sickness or it's an excuse because something else isn't quite right in the workplace. And I work with organisations to try and get them to understand the challenge you have with workplace health is it's complex. It's not the easy fix. It's not easy to work out. But there's lots of areas that impact on how you can improve workplace health. Things like culture is really important. You can probably think of all of you can think of a brand or brands or restaurants or companies that you do business with because you think that you really like their values and you like their brands or you like the people they work with or you like what they do within an organisation. However, and so that's the same with your business. Create a culture that people like. Create a culture where people want to be in your business. In the States, they talk a lot about employer branding, and this is about creating an organisation where people come to you rather than you have to go out and recruit. And it's all about creating an organisation where people want to be. In creating somewhere like the environment, if you've got a nice place to work, if it's nice and airy, natural light, places where it's not just desks, you're more likely to be wanting to spend time there. I've worked in organisations, or one organisation, where we had no natural light. We were in an internal office. And I have to say, most of the time I was working there, I dreaded going there in the morning. It wasn't because I didn't like working for the company, but the thought of sitting in an internal office for 8 hours really did not sit well with me, and I struggled, and I used to have to go out of the office every hour and a half just to see some natural light. I've worked in organisations where it is desk, and just because someone's sat at their desk doesn't mean they're productive. I talked about presenteeism. Have areas which allows people to be creative. We are all naturally creative, believe it or not. If you watch children, they are so creative. But as we turn into adults, we create that creativity gets banged out of us. Or we don't want to look stupid and we don't want to come up with a silly idea. But actually, creativity is a really easy way to calm yourself down. It stress relieves. And actually, it can problem solve at the same time. So allow people within your organisation to have a space where it allows them to be creative. It doesn't have to be beanbags and thing whatever, but just give them a space that's not desk. Because actually our desks aren't that nice to sit at. Often the ergonomics of a desk is not nice really. So it's about thinking about all the different areas. I'm passionate about food and drink. I want to celebrate food and drink. Food is medicine to me, and we should be celebrating the amazing food that we can eat, not demonising it for the burger you ate at the weekend because it made you feel rubbish. You know, it's just about celebrating food and understanding what your staff eat at lunchtime impacts on their performance in the afternoon. That's categorically, that's not going to change. So it is about understanding that things link with that. It's also thinking about leadership and management. I work with organisations using the Firecracker formula. In any organisation, you have 3 tiers. Even if it's just 2 or 3 people in an organisation, you'll have your individuals, you'll have your teams, and you have your organisation as a totality. What you want to do is create happy, healthy individuals, that they're healthy. Their health matters because, as I said, healthy staff equal happy staff equal productive staff. Looking at leadership, there is some real research out there now that's saying if you've got good leaders and well-trained leaders, they will reduce your staff absenteeism. We all know that there's people we've worked with that we just really love, and they're natural leaders. And we're more likely to do stuff over and above beyond what we're asked to because they're leaders. So create good leaders, and not everyone can leader, not everyone's a leader. Some people are managers and have those 2 roles, they're quite separate. I always see a leader as people-orientated and managers are process-driven. And often most people can't do that. You're either one or the other. You're naturally a people person, or you're naturally driven by task. And actually understanding that and getting to know people, give people leadership skills. We're all leaders in our own right. You know, I'm a one-man band, I work in an organisation, I use associates mainly, but I'm a leader, I influence, I have interactions with people, so actually I'm a leader in my own right. And we all are leaders, whether we have people underneath us and we manage teams, we are still leaders. And then look at culture, create nice culture. You know, create a place where people want to come to. And, you know, what I talk to people about is, have you got Monday morning people or Friday afternoon people? And you'll know these people that Sunday night they moan about it's working again tomorrow. Monday morning they spend the most of the time moaning about they're back at work and talking about their weekend. By Wednesday it's like happy hump day, yay! And then by Friday lunchtime all they can talk about is gin o'clock or wine o'clock. You know, why do you want these people? All they want to do is get to the weekend. You want the people on Monday morning to go, right, what are we going to do this week? What are we on? Where are we going? What are we doing? What are we achieving? Because ultimately, if you have those kind of people in your organisation who are happy and healthy, they're going to be productive for you. And that's ultimately what you want. You heard Glenn earlier from Zero talk about productivity. We work in a global we're a global world, aren't we, obviously? And even more so in the future, we're going to have to compete against everyone else. And with the UK being the fifth productive nation, we have something to do. We've got work to do, and one way we can do it is create happy, healthy workforces. And if you don't think it is not a very good return, then you know there is loads of stats out there, and it is harder to earn. Don't get me wrong; it is really hard to work out your return on investment. But I went to a conference, and I was speaking. The guys at Heineken were speaking, and they see a 1 in 8 return. 1 in 8 return in terms of their investment. Most businesses see a 1 in 3 return. So every £1 invested in workplace health, they get a £3 worth of return investment on terms of higher productivity, reduced staff sickness, and increased staff retention. So I'll just leave you with one slide, which you can read. This was written by Dame Carol Black. She is an advocate for the government in terms of workplace health. And we really need to use our workplaces as a place to improve health in the nation. It's a place where the main income earners, working age people, spend most of their time. Hope you found that interesting. Come and speak to me, have some free fruit afterwards, and thank you.